This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Police responded to a 911 call.
Dramatic video of gun insanity in the Bronx.
Police releasing a new video of a person that they are still trying to track down.
Defund the police is not the answer.
Many people surveyed said they just don't feel safe in the city.
It's a shooting outside of a store.
This is Bo Dietl's One Tough Podcast.
Police this morning are searching for the person who turned this Harlem platform to a crime scene.
A Red Apple Media Podcast Network production. Now, here's Bo Dietl.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bo Dietl's One Tough Podcast. Today, I'm real excited. This cat that I know here, Cat, did you get Cat? Curtis Sliwa. No more cats, Curtis. Curtis Sliwa, the candidate that I support for the next mayor of New York City. You know, I know a little bit about it. He knows a little bit about it. He ran once. I had ran once, and we learned about the pitfalls and the lies and the cheating with the Board of Election and everything else that he's going to be looking forward to. Today, we want to talk about Eric Adams, obviously dropping out of the Democratic line. But first of all, let's properly introduce you. I go back with you about 40 years or more, 50 years maybe. Yeah, because I was at Halsey Bop on Halsey Street, and we used to have gang wars there. So I think that's when I first met you, a lot younger than me, but I think I remember, I didn't see the red beret on your head.
I was a little kid with my cousins, Lenny Beans Bianchino, Joey the Cheech from Howard Beach. They were Canarsie Bebops, and they were rumbling with the Halsey Bops. Yeah. I was sitting there in Knickerbocker Park minding my own business, and you come flying over the chair. Boom! A garrison belt. I got hit with a big buckle. I remember it was you. I know you don't want to acknowledge that.
We used to drink Valentine's Ale.
Oh.
Have a quart of Valentine's Ale. We actually took the bus there because we didn't have cars yet.
You know what was worse than Valentine Ale?
What?
Bohack beer.
Oh, I never heard of that one.
That was the cheapest.
So when we'd go there just to fight. Like on a Friday night,
yeah.
That was our whole thing was, let's go fight. But we didn't shoot anybody.
No.
We didn't stab anybody. We loved to throw fists. I did use the Garrison belt.
Yes, you did. I have that mark on my back.
But I did know how to use it from my father, Mr. Dietl from Germany, not the Sicilian side, and he used to have FD, Frank Dietl. The belt buckle used to be embedded on my butt. All I had to do was look at my mother the wrong way. And you talk about today, they would have been locking up my father for
child welfare. Would have taken you away.
But one thing I realized when I grew up, he knew that I was a tough kid. I was always in fights. But he also knew I was hanging around on 101st Avenue down by 98th Street, 96th Street, and there was young guys there named Scopo, was Ralphie Scopo, Joey Scopo, and Johnny Gotti, the father, not the son, not the guy that shot you.
Now, was that the Bergen Hunt, Fish, and Shoot Human Beings Club?
No, that was way before that. Okay. Way before that.
When they were teenagers.
On 101st Avenue, and John Gotti Sr. and Joey Scopo. Scopo was a Colombo guy. Yes. Gotti was obviously a Gambino guy. And I met them. I remember how they always dressed so cool. They had great cars. And they were maybe in their early 20s, if that. And I was like 12, 13 years old looking at these guys and saying, wow, they're cool. But my father used to say, you'll get your ass in this house by 9 o'clock. You know, they would go to Idlewild Airport, and they were doing some shopping there, I guess. I'm not that stupid. But they were doing some shopping for nice Italian soft shoes and Italian knits, and then they would come back and they put it in a storefront and they would sell the stuff. But I had to be back at 9.
But now I have to explain Idlewild, now JFK Airport. That's what he's talking about.
So basically, I grew up with a father that really kept me in line. And my book, One Tough Cop, who I dedicate to him, and I said to my father, who I only got to know after I became a man, because if I hung around and really hung around him, I would have been the best burglar. And if I became a hit guy, I would have been the best hit guy if I would have lasted. Anything I've done in life, but now I'm on the right side of the law. I've always been on the right side. I don't steal. I don't cheat. And the cheating, I'm talking about financially, because you've had 6 wives, so you know about that. But my point is that I have pretty good standards that my father instilled and beat into me. And then you grow up with a tough family life too.
Oh yeah, Canarsie, East New York. So at a time where the Lucchese's and the Gambinos were very strong and actually worked with one another. The Italian-American Civil Rights League came about. Joe Colombo, excellent spokesperson. I remember seeing him on Dick Cavett at night with Bob Grant, the king of talk radio. He wasn't a D's and Do's kind of guy.
No, he was very articulate. And then I remember I used to drive Ralph Scopo. Ralph Scopo, the father, was the one who was running all the construction unions, laborers, concrete, any concrete, carpenters and all that. So I used to drive him around to meet Fat Tony up at 116th Street. But I was a kid. I was 17 years old. I started out as a concrete laborer. That's equal to being a slave, like building the pyramids. I mean, real tough work.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden the truck comes and they're churning it, you only have a certain amount of time to lay it before it becomes like curds,
as long as it keeps turning.
Yeah.
As long as it keeps up. Now, if that motor burns out, you're going to have jackhammers, a guy inside there with a jackhammer. And then I was with the erection groups where we had the 3x4s, the plywoods, and the stringers, and then typical floors, they call it. They'd lay the lathing down, and they put the little horses in there. They would pour the concrete. I used to drive the buggy. I did everything. And then I became an iron worker. But the point I'm trying to get at was Ralph Scopo got me into that. And then before I became a cop, I didn't want to be a cop. I took the test as a goof. I think I got a 99. It was a moron test. They showed a clock. What time is it? But then all of a sudden, I'm freezing my ass, and I became an iron worker on a permit on the World Trade Center, Tower A, Tower B. And I'll never forget, Curtis, freezing my ass off because it was downtown. The wind's coming off the bay, constant wind. So I used to see guys. I actually saw 4 people die in construction. Off the building into elevator shafts falling, whatever the hell it is. Very dangerous. And everyone said to me, what about OSHA, Bo? The only OSHA I was looking at the Atlantic Ocean. There was no OSHA, no safety belt. I mean, you would walk the steel, and I became a connector, where you would connect the steel with the stud wrench, put a bolt in there, and the guys would come. So now it's going on. They called for the cops twice. Then they said, if you don't take it, you're going to be taken off the list. So I said to myself, do I want to be like these guys? Some of these guys were 25. They look like they were 50, weathered. And then I said, let me try the cop stuff. I don't want to go into my whole history, but on the roof of the academy the first day, I saw a guy going up a fire escape. He wasn't a fireman. I chased him. He had 2 rings, and then I became the decoy, mugged 500 times, stabbed, shot, all that bull crap. But it's not about me. It's about you becoming the next mayor of New York.
Well, wait a second. You said you only ran one time. I supported you for Congress against Floyd Flake.
Well, that was Congress.
I came with my wife, Lisa, at the time to Howard Beach for a big fundraiser, and you almost beat him in his own backyard.
Hold on. You know what happened, and just to show you politics. And now I ran against the Reverend Floyd Flake. And
he was powerful at that time.
And Ronald Reagan had me fly to Washington. President Ronald Reagan, the Republican Party of New York State, New York City, were all in back of me. And because they looked at the polling that said I got a real shot because I had name recognition. Nick Pileggi put me on the cover of New York Magazine. So I had it all going. My brother Alan, God rest his soul, said, why don't you run for Congress? I said, what does a congressman do? And then they sent me to school in Washington for 2 weeks. Lee Atwater was the head of the Republican Party. He really liked me a lot. He got me to meet with Reagan. And the next thing is I had a real shot at it. So I'm running head-to-head against the Republican, and the area was 7-1 Democrat in that area of Richmond Hill, Ozone Park, Rockaways. And then mysteriously, towards the end of the election, boom, up comes a third candidate. That's what comes into play here, the third candidate. And it was Brian McCabe from the Rockaways. So Brian runs, and then all of a sudden he pulls off 4,000 votes. Now, I lost, I think, by 2,500 votes. He pulls 4,000 of Irish from Rockaways. I don't think they were Floyd fake voters.
No, absolutely
So
not.
basically, I should have won that seat. I didn't. I started to learn about politics. And then when I was at Joe DeCandia's place.
Yep.
Great guy, Joe. And I go over there. We had our victory party, my losing party. And next thing is I says, thank you, Joe. And then Brian McCabe and his wife coming in. I said, well, you took a good shot. We tried. She goes, oh, no. We didn't lose. The next day it was announced he was the chief of staff for Floyd Flake. I mean, you can't make this shit up, you know.
No,
and then I'm starting to learn it.
They realized they weren't going to get the Italian vote. Howard Beach, Ozone Park, Broad Channel, Rockaway, the Irish Riviera. That's where they went.
And then when I learned, you know, because Steve Cohen I knew well, billionaire, and Kenny Langone, dear friends of mine, still are dear friends, even though I'm going after, you know, I do what I got to do. I tell the truth. And basically, I should have just stayed on the Republican line. I should have ran as a Republican. They wanted me to run as a Democrat. And that was the worst thing I did because there was a technicality. If you run on another independent line, you can't check more than one box. I learned that. But the mistake, I paid $40,000 to Marty Connors. He said, oh, I'll take care of it, but give me $40,000. And I did everything. I went to the first court, Supreme Court. Bill Big Bird de Blasio, that big scumbag, had his general counsel there with two other in my courtroom, Supreme Court, Appellate Court, Court of Appeals. My heart and soul ripped out, but I wouldn't stop. Like, you ain't going to stop no matter what. And I ran all the way, and it really hurt Curtis because all I wanted to do, I wasn't a politician. I ran businesses. I've been pretty successful, but that doesn't make a good politician. Businessman doesn't make a good politician. What I've learned is that a person with honesty, integrity, and want for the people of New York City what most of the people want, public safety and honesty, where we can send in people. You know, they laugh about Elon Musk uncovering all this waste. You know, my big thing is they're talking about, and this is an important thing for you, Curtis, they're talking about $10 billion by the end of this year, $10 billion for migrant funding.
Yeah.
Do you know what the migrant funding, and why isn't Brad Landers, who's the controller, this little weasel punk, why isn't he auditing? And even Trish, what's her name, Tish James, she went after my friend Donald Trump, President Donald Trump. Why doesn't she go after auditing that $10 billion? I want to know where it went. When you have contracts on no bid, and then also mysteriously, the little leprechauns there, we call them the little leprechauns, all around my friend Eric Adams. Why did he make them all leave in January? Why? You know why? It wasn't all about Turkish airline upgrades. It was about all this friggin' money, hundreds of millions of dollars of money. Why can't we have an accountant of this money? And please, if and when you become mayor, I think this case could be brought up. Okay, President Donald Trump, I love him, I respect him, and I'm going to try to talk to him about you and the National Republican Committee. Why can't we get funding for you? You are a true Republican, and you love Donald Trump, President Donald Trump. You will abide by what he wants. I'm sure you have the same feelings, Curtis. So you're really his best candidate, not somebody that's flip-flopping like a fresh flounder on a frying pan. That, what's his name, Eric Adams. What was his famous saying is, I don't want to hear the noise. Noise? I want to hear what you did with $10 billion with migrant. I think it was a subterfuge. That's a word. Yep. Subterfuge. Get all that money in there. Why was there no bid contracts? I mean, is this a reasonable question?
We know that his underlings,
they all left, and he made them all leave. Right. You know that.
But you and I both know how organized crime works. Everyone has to kick up to the top. I cannot believe that all these folks who left, Phil Banks, his brother at the Department of Education,
Timothy Pearson.
Right, Pearson. All of them left. They had taken money. There's no doubt about it. Got their skim. and then they didn't kick up to Eric Adams, who obviously was aware of what they were doing.
Come on, you know.
It was a disaster.
You know, look, I know about organized crime very, very well. And if we're in a family, whatever family you want to be with, the Scugia, the Gallimari family, whatever you are, that's part of the deal is you are an earner, and you kick it up.
Yep.
And you're telling me these guys were stealing all these hundreds of $1 million, and I don't know, remember, what was that guy, Shaggy? It wasn't me? Come on. Think about it. That's some very important things. When you debate these, you go at them and say, why can't we have an account? And why can't, well, we know the federal government gave them finzies. We can't even recharge them.
Yep.
But why can't the district attorney of Manhattan, why can't the controller that's still sitting his ass in there, and why can't the attorney general of New York State ask these questions?
Well, they can. Now, remember, Steve Bannon, who was given a reprieve in the first Trump administration. He was given a pardon.
Yeah.
And then what did Bragg do? He recharged him. He recently went up to trial. He pled guilty. So we know that Alvin Bragg can do that with Eric Adams. You can charge him with state charges, regardless of the fact that these federal charges have gone away.
The way it seems now, what happened yesterday, when I heard, well, you knew about this independent line.
Yeah.
And he knew he couldn't beat Governor Cuomo there. And again, here we go again. What makes you different than Governor Cuomo? I'll tell you. Your honesty and what you're all about. And part of the thing is I'd love to be able to get the people out there to support you, send whatever they can in, because if we can run and blanket advertisements on television, you know what I would have? I would have you going through the East Harlem with all my Puerto Rican friends, all the store owners there. You go into the Jamaican areas, going into the black areas. The Asians love you. The Jewish people love you. Everybody, you are New York and recognizable for one thing, public safety and protection. To me, that's what's deal. Now, again, and we had dinner last night to be very openly, and I said to you, Curtis, I'll help you find people.
Yeah.
But when you win, we have to find the best. I don't want your cousin Vito and Gwen. I want people smart, successful, and uncorruptible. That's the traits that we got to do and give it. And we can do that. And I would be happy to be with you to organize your team, because I tell you what, we would find out, one, that they're very, very successful financially. Keep the corruption factor at it.
Right.
Why are they doing it? Because they love this city and they want to turn this city around. And then on top of it, we want people that are doing it for themselves. I said this morning on Sid's show, I says, I would even think about you bringing in John Catsimatidis as a first deputy mayor. Maybe it's too low for him, but I don't think it is, because he loves this city. And I tell you what, you asked me, boy, would you become the police commissioner? No. And then I'll be honest, no. Maybe I'd be an advisor to you. No, I don't want to be the police commissioner.
A consigliere.
I think this Jessica Tisch is doing a damn good job. I'm first time I'm saying this, but I knew one thing. She gets pulled back by Mayor Eric Adams.
Right.
I think she could go so far, and you have to have the independence of a police commissioner to do his or her job. And, let's see what happens. But let's focus now on more important is what you think about this now having Eric Adams running as an independent. This other commie scumbag, Zohar the Great, whatever. He's a communist. Then you got the Workers' Party, that's a communist, and then you have Governor Cuomo. I think the lead of Governor Cuomo will deflate. I think it's going to deflate a lot. He's a good talker. He's handsome, macho man, all that bullshit. That don't impress me. You know what impresses me? Like I said, the traits: integrity, honesty, and the love of New York City. He's looking to become the next, and I like the president to understand that. President Trump, he's not looking just for mayor. He's looking to bounce against whoever we have in the Republican Party as to run for president in the Democratic line. Because you got Jerkoff over there in California there, that pretty boy who just destroyed 20,000 houses, didn't want any water in it. I mean, you got no real cat. Well, you can bring back the laughing hyena? Or how about, why don't we just dig up Biden? Is he dead yet? I don't even know if he's dead.
I have no idea.
He's walking dead anyway. And, I mean, they have no candidate. And you know who the candidate's going to be? And when I go to Washington, I'm sure I'm going to be talking to the president in the near future because there's some things going on, I think. Maybe not. Maybe he'll knock me off because I'm going against Eric Adams. But I know President Donald Trump for 40 years.
Well, you can explain to him that even though they might like Eric Adams in Butte, Montana, Republicans, because they see standing with President Trump and Tom Homan, is that Republicans in New York City know this guy's a fugazi.
Oh,
that he was the Biden of Brooklyn, and when that didn't work out, he did his famous words, I do a pivot and shift. Like the man has no soul, no ideology. It's all about Eric, whatever he needs to do to survive the moment.
And then again, people, he was a police captain. I think he made 5 arrests. I made 5 arrests in 1 hour. I mean, this is a guy that ran on Law and Order. What Law and Order? All I knew is he was the head of 100 blacks in law enforcement. Every time there was a prisoner, they would, did he grab you hard? Did he hurt you? He was not a cop's cop, and he wasn't a guy out there. But I did find out one guy, and I got to say it, because I had dinner with Chief Shell and the chief of detectives, Joe Kenny.
Right.
Joe Kenny. Right. And I found out about this guy, Tariq. And he was
Shepard.
Yeah, I found out he was a real cop's cop. And he got himself, like I did all the time, 40 civilian complaints, never founded one, but I have respect. Now he was made deputy mayor of public safety, which at first I said, well, why is he doing it? You know what? I don't have a problem with that because he knows the inner workings of the rank and file, and he also walked the walk. That guy I respect. I respect him more to be the mayor than the mayor.
Right, but remember, they were all products of Jeffrey Maddrey. So Kaz Daughtry, Tariq Shepard, they weren't ready for prime time. They needed more seats.
No, Kaz Daughtry was the one that I'm talking about.
That's who you're talking about. But Tariq Shepard,
not Tariq
he was a straight-out thug.
Okay, I'm talking about
Kaz Daughtry.
Kaz Daughtry.
Right, he was like the son of
But
Maddrey.
he was a cop on the street.
Right, but
I think he had 500 arrests. He had
deputy mayor of public safety. We don't need a deputy mayor of public safety.
Well, hold on a second. If you become the mayor, we could maybe think about that.
No, we get rid of deputy mayor of public safety.
Well, no.
Remember, the last deputy mayor of public safety was Judge Mullen with David Dinkins.
Hold on.
How did that work out?
Hold on, Eric.
Oh, are you auditioning right now?
Eric Adams, stop it. Stop it, Eric Adams. Can't you catch the hints?
I'm a little dense.
Come on.
Come on. So, Bo Dietl,
as I said,
deputy mayor of public safety.
I could consider that.
All right.
But that's a good
position. That would be police, fire, EMTs, emergency management. You're ready, right? In honor of the departed Joe Esposito.
Absolutely. Right. Who should have been made the deputy mayor of public safety.
They just had a commemoration for him at the El Caribe.
The best.
In Sheepshead Bay.
Wow.
He was a great guy.
Well, I came on the force about the same time with him. And I was there. I was the one that pushed Eric Adams to give him a damn job after his wife had died. I said, this guy's in bad shape. I want him to get the OEM. Why not him? I mean,
he had done it before.
Yeah. But
remember how de Blasio mistreated him.
Why not him? I said to Eric Adams. You don't understand something. I supported a lot of guys. I had a very close rapport with Eric Adams.
You did?
I was on his fake phones, the throwaway phones, the killer phones. We had a close thing until I questioned him about 7 months ago when I said to him, you know what, Mr. Mayor, I bet you want to know why I'm not doing any security for all these migrant places. And I says, you know what, Mr. Mayor, your people, and you know who they are, came to me and wanted me to bid on contracts 3 times the going rate. But there was something else. A consultant firm, 20% of the top, that's called kickback.
Yep.
He looked at me. I don't know what you're talking about, Bo. I said, Eric, you should know what I'm talking about. You're the mayor. He got up, walked away. I've never spoke to him after that. He never called me.
Let me tell you, you were one up on Sid. Sid said to me one morning, you know, the man never returns my texts. He always used to return my texts. I said, schmuck, he's got burner phones. He swapped out his regular phones for burner phones.
I had 16 phones. I didn't know who's. But I used to have the latest actions and all that. But I really liked the guy, and I was trying. But then when I saw what happened, then when all these criminal element that he had underlings handling all the monies of this city, and wasn't it funny in January? They all left. Like it was like the rats leaving the ship. That was directed by him. Go. Go, because he thought the second shoe, the superseding indictment, was going to go. So he gets in a car, he rushes to Washington at 5 o'clock in the morning, sleep in his eyes. Oh, Mr. President, I love President Donald Trump. I love him. But you know something, President Trump, we have a real Republican. Is he going to win? We don't know. Does he have a shot to win? Damn right. Does he support everything that you feel and you support? 1,000,000%. I'd put my life on the line with Curtis Sliwa to do what you feel as though is right for this country and this city. And that's all I can say is there will not be any kind of missteps because he's 100% with you, President Trump, and how we could be supporting this other fella there that used to, here with water, wherever you want to stay, whatever you want to do. Welcome. I mean,
well, remember, it came about through your friend who was assigned that responsibility, his monitor, Stevie Whitlock.
Witkoff.
I'm sorry, Witkoff.
Yeah.
But Witkoff basically was given that responsibility to monitor Eric Adams. I'm sure he told the president, "Oh, he's playing ball with us."
Stevie was my partner. I love Stevie. His kids are like my family. He lost his son. He's family to me.
Yeah.
But I had said to him, "Stay away from this guy, Stevie." Yeah. But I do see the strategy. Of course, President Donald Trump loves New York City, and that's his strategy. He knows if this other clown gets in there, the ex-governor, we're going to have...
Well, the ex-governor's already declared a revolution against Donald Trump.
Well, when I heard that, when I was on sit, I was trying to dance around a little bit, saying I support Curtis Sliwa, but I support Governor Cuomo on the Democrat side. But when I heard him open his mouth against my president, against President Trump, I said, Finzies, that's all.
A revolution.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, that's harsh. He's going to do whatever he needs to say to try to become mayor, and it's my job to be able to cut him off at the pass because he's not going to be in the neighborhoods. He's not going into places where the only Republican they've ever seen is Abraham Lincoln on a $5 bill. Everybody in those neighborhoods knows me. Now, my job is to get him to vote for me. They'll never badmouth me. They'll never say horrible things about me. Very similar to you when you go into inner city neighborhoods.
Yeah.
But because I have the R in front of my name, the Democrats have brainwashed people to suggest that, no, you don't want to vote for a Republican. Look how well Trump did. Crotona Park, 30,000, mostly blacks and Hispanics came to hear him speak. He went to the barbershop up in...
Yeah, but you have to, Curtis, you have to come out. I'm serious. However your campaign man, you kind of come out and fully support President Trump and all his policies, including with the sanctuary city, all that. You've got to come out and start yelling. Let them hear it in Washington. And then I want to try and wake up this Ed Cockey, whatever his name is. I mean, the Republicans of New York State. Yeah, the Republican of New York State. Why can't we have Curtis Sliwa be our next mayor? We've had a guy that likes to grab ass. The governor, and a lot of people died. I'm not saying
15,000.
I ain't saying he did it, but it was on his watch.
He never apologized.
And then on top of it, you got the other guy, very questionable with the people he supported around him, very questionable of billions of dollars that we don't know what happened.
Right.
And why can't it be Landa? I think you should start doing press releases calling out Landa, calling out Attorney General. You went after President Trump so hard there, Tish James. Why don't you go after Eric Adams and find out what happened to all that money?
Yep.
Curtis, and start putting stuff in the papers about you support the president's policy, and you as the Republican in New York City running for mayor love Donald Trump, because I know you do. You know you do.
Right now, he's supporting Eric Adams.
Excuse me. How's he supporting him?
Well, I mean...
He gave him a pardon. Okay, that's it. No. Is he giving money to Eric Adams?
I don't know.
Well, that's a good question.
We'll have to see in the next returns.
Why don't you preempt him and say exactly what we're talking about?
Well, Bo, that's your responsibility. You have all the connections.
No, but you could have a news conference. You could do a press release where you go, it's very simple. We don't have to play around with the governor, with all kinds of problems, with the mayor, with all kinds of questionable monies, with all the idiots around him. And I'm running for the Republican mayor of New York City. And with your support, Mr. President, your policies I believe in and I will support.
Look,
and you don't have to give me a pardon for me to follow through.
It show you about Cuomo. Cuomo was on with Stephen A. Smith, sports guy.
Yeah.
Says, I'll work with Donald Trump. He's a Queens guy. He has the best interests of New York City. Then he goes to a black church. I'm declaring revolution against Donald Trump. So, Bo, I'm going to depend on you to make the inroads.
No, I need you or whoever your political people. I want you to start to do press releases and throw that question and say exactly the way you feel.
In the general, because right now everyone's focused on the bloodbath of the Democrats.
No. We ain't got much time here.
We got 7 months.
It's not a lot of time, but I want to start money coming.
Oh, I understand.
So when I want to start when I go to Washington, where I can meet with the Republican National Committee and say, why don't you do your own? They love these.
I tell you what.
Yeah.
You know them all.
Yeah.
You have contacts with them.
Yeah.
You test the waters.
But I need you to come out publicly and say you fully support President Donald Trump.
I don't support the tariffs.
Well, forget about tariffs.
Right. You say fully support everything he does.
The tariffs is a game. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen.
Everything is a litmus test.
No, I'm talking about what his policies for New York City are. Say it like that. So just a tunnel. Because you got to.
Who's the one who was first out shutting down the migrant centers?
Okay.
Who got arrested shutting down the migrant centers?
So you support his philosophy
this
for
is
New York.
before he was even commenting on that.
Hey, everybody. We'll be right back with our interview with Curtis Sliwa. But if you need anything in security or investigations, 40 years I've been in business. Just go to investigations.com. That's investigations.com. I can help you with anything. Stay tuned.
Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country. Anywhere, nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. Goldbelly ships Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garden's famous cakes. So, if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT. That's goldbelly.com, promo code GIFT.
Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
Lights, camera, innovation. Walt Disney Studios chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to transform the movie-making process. Together, we kept a remote production hub in Hawaii in sync with a team in California to bring Lilo and Stitch to theaters this summer. This is picture-perfect collaboration. This is Walt Disney Studios with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros, word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
I'm going to tell you something, Tariff. Let you know inside baseball.
Yes.
I know Donald Trump 40-something years.
Yes.
Smartest guy. He plays Jets, knows what his next move is going to be. Here's what's going to happen. He's going to relieve these tariffs, and you're going to see a market surge like anything. You know what he's going to say? I tell you what, we'll take our tariffs, you take yours, even playing field. You'll see a market surge like lightning. This is all Donald Trump knowing the next move. I'm not a chess player. He is a remarkable chess player. He knows, Greenland, we're going to take it one way or the other. That was never what he wanted to do. He wanted to get our bases there and get our bases to protect the United States. And now they're our partners again. This is how. He tried to do with dickhead Putin. Putin's a dickhead. No dealing with him. Hamas you can't deal with. That's the problem.
Congestion pricing was in. The president said he would end it. Let's make sure he ends it.
Okay, but more important, Len, don't get cockatacious with him.
I'm not getting cockatacious.
You know
I'm
why?
just saying he's hesitated.
Curtis,
hesitated a little bit.
I know him very well. I say, focus yourself on New York City. Mr. President, this is your home. You love it. I love it. My friend Bo loves it. We all love New York City. I want to be your Republican mayor to follow through with the policies that you want in this city because I believe it. Just put your press release, and I'll take it from there. I'll meet with the head of the Republican, but I'll do everything I can do because in reality, that should have been my master plan against Big Bird. I should have never tried to switch to Democrat. I should have stayed as a Republican, but Ed Cockhead was there. He was spinning wheels. But then,
who tried to convince you to be a Democrat?
Steve Cohn and Langone.
Mistake.
But the point is, that was a real mistake because then I could have went to Washington and. When he first had a debate on Long Island, I was in the audience, and Donald Trump was not the president yet in 2016. He goes, and Bo, run for mayor.
Yes.
And stupid me listened to other people, and, I had no line. I was just a wavering guy. I raised like $1.8 million, whatever the hell it was. I put a couple of $300,000 my own money. But my point was, focus on what I just said.
Oh, remember, you had the classic, Big Bird. And you actually had Big Bird from Sesame Street
at the debate,
marching around when Bill de Blasio was debating.
Greatest thing, Maurice Dubois, Channel 2, was the great. He wasn't afraid of Malatakis.
Yes.
She turned out to be a great congresswoman, but he wasn't afraid of her. He was afraid of me. And the thing was that I never had an opportunity to run head-to-head. Because part of my plan would have been go to Washington, the National Republican Committee, and also they have all the money in the world there. And if I showed them numbers like you can show them that this is not an impossibility, that's what we got to do. Remember.
Well, they know that. Well, they know it already. They did a poll. They tried to convince Eric Adams to be a Republican. They did a poll, and they saw that I crushed him 90-10.
I know.
So they backed off.
I know President Donald Trump for 40 years. I'm going to tell you right now. Fall on his sword, kiss his ring, and say, you love New York City the same as I love it. I love your policies for New York, and you don't have to give me a pardon to get it done, Mr. President, because I will be as loyal as anything in the world. I'm telling you.
Well, you will be my Tom Hayden, my peace.
But you got to release it and get it to me.
I want to get feedback from you first. You know all the players there in Washington. I
just told you it's easy. You could replay this thing, and all I say was, Mr. President, I'm so honored to be running as a Republican from the city that you love and I love. I believe in all your policies in New York City.
Bo, they love Eric Adams.
Do me a favor. And put right in there, Mr. President, you don't have to give me a pardon to stay loyal to you.
That's a good one.
Come on.
That's a good one.
You do that.
That's a good drop line.
Yeah. And you want to know something? I'll get it to the ears there. And you know what? They might tell me to kiss off, Bo, but you want to know something? You would have taken that move. And I know President Donald Trump, he loves loyalty. He loves New York. Because you know what's going to happen if you don't win? There's a good chance Shake and Bake Como there will win, possibly, and then this city will turn into the sanctuary city, and they'll go against President Trump. We got to wipe him out on the battlefield of New York City, and you've got to become the mayor of New York City. Well, let's do it, Curtis.
I'm telling you, Bo, from your lips to Trump's and God's ears.
Get the news releases out. Well, I want to thank Curtis. I'm excited for you.
Oh, wait,
Curtis.
let me give him the way to help me. Sliwa for NYC.com. That's Sliwa, F-O-R, NYC.com.
I really, really ask everyone, let's make a big surprise, and let's make the mayor of New York City, the next mayor of New York City, someone who loves this city, someone who's honest and can't be bought like the last one. Remember, you just have to, where do you go? What's the tagline? What's the tagline?
The tagline
is
Sliwa for NewYorkCity.com.
Sliwa for NewYorkCity.com. Please send what you can. And stay tuned, and we're going to have Curtis back on after one of these other guys get re-indicted or something like that. I think there's more to come. And listen to me. Hey, Attorney General, you got wide opening. DA, you got wide opening. And then maybe the field will get a little clearer. All I know is I want Curtis Sliwa to be my mayor because I live here, my grandchildren live here, my kids live here, and Curtis Sliwa is for safety and security for you and your family. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Jewish. This is the deal. Let's bring Curtis in there, and I will help him put the best people in the world in his administration. Thank you. Tune in next week to Bo Dietl's One Tough Podcast. Thank you.